Hello everyone, welcome. Uh, and I'm happy for you guys, for those of you who joined your preferred departments. And today I'll be leading you how to use Codeforces. Basically, we're going to be starting with our first problem. What you're going to be doing is you're going to go to this website. I'm going to put the website link in the description. It's called Codeforces. And you're going to register. Here it has enter, register, and you can figure it out. It's easy. So I'll just log in my case because I have an account. So this is the kind of UI you're going to be facing at when you visit this website. I know it sucks. Codeforce is really ugly, to be honest. And I also need you to download this. I hope all of you guys have Visual Studio Code. So this is Visual Studio Code, and you're going to open this and you're going to download a preferred application for your operating system. So it's showing me Debian file because I am using Linux, but in your case it's going to be Windows. So the installation is not going to be difficult, it's going to be easy for you, so don't worry. So when you install Visual Studio and open it, this is the thing you're going to be seeing at first, but it might not be similar to this, but you're going to be having these kind of things. And what you're going to be doing is you're going to say open folder, and you're going to pick a folder. In my case, I have created a folder, and where is it? I have it here, and I'm going to select that, and it's going to open a new empty folder. So I have nothing in here, no file, no text or anything. It's going to be new empty folder. So what you're going to be doing is you're going to create this new file, and you can call it whatever you want. I'll call it first problem, and don't forget to name it Python. And just to make everything easier for you, in the extension tab, you're going to search for Python. And once you search for Python, it's going to, I think that there is an official Python extension, and you're going to install that, and it's taking too long, I don't know the reason. So this is what our editor looks like. Let me just convert this into white. I hope it's here. No. Preferences, yeah. Theme, color theme is going to, yeah, I'll just go with light for now. And once we created a file, get back to Codeforce, and I need you to go under the problem set tab. So this is a place where you find all problems, and this is the number of people that solved that problem, and this you can submit the solution using this paper thing, I don't know, and this is just to make it your favorite problem. And as you can see, this problem is solved by only 500 people, which means it is going to be very difficult. So we're going to sort this based on how many people solved it, and as you can see, we have this huge number. This is easy problem, so almost everybody solved it. So we're going to pick way too long words, and I'm going to put the link in the description as well. So we're going to read the problem, and it says sometimes some word like localization or internationalization are so long, and writing them many times in one text quite tiresome. Let's consider a word too long if it is strictly more than 10 characters. and all long words should be replaced with a special abbreviation. So I hope you understand what it is trying to say. And this abbreviation is made like this. We write down the first and the last letter of the word, and between them we write the number of letters between the first and the last letters. The number is in decimal system and doesn't contain any leading zeros. And localization will be spelled as L10N because there is 10 character in between L and N. And the same thing happens with internationalization. And you are suggested to automate the process of changing the word with abbreviation. At that, all long words should be replaced by the abbreviation, and the words that are not too long should not undergo the change. So I'll just pick the first example, and I'll just explain what the question means. And here we have word. So whenever you have word, you're going to just display word. But in case of localization, because the word is too long, meaning it contains more than 10 characters. If we counted, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And let me just place them accordingly. As you can see, like, we have too much characters here. So since the number of the characters is greater than 10, what we should do is we're going to abbreviate this using L10N, and the L represents the first character of the word, N represents the last character of the word, and 10 represents the number of characters in between. So we have 10 characters here. So this is what the problem is asking for. And if our word is not greater than 10, we're going to just display it as it is. So one thing we need to make sure is it says strictly more than 10, which means if it is 10, you have to display it as it is. For example, let's say I hope better word 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So as you can see, this is 10 characters. So 10 characters should be the same as the first one. So that is what the problem is asking. Now we need to solve the problem, right? Let's try to understand how we can write the code. And this is what the input says. In the first line, there is going to be an integer n, and each of the following n lines contain one word. So the first line is this one. The first line contains what? An integer n. And the second n lines, meaning that if we have word, we're going to, like, if we have 4, we're going to be having 4 lines, like, to the next of 4, and they're going to be on the next line. And all the word consists of lowercase Latin letters. So everything is going to be in lowercase, and they're also going to be Latin letters. And the length is between 1 and 100, which means that this word could be as long as like having 100 characters. And what is expected from our code? And that's the output. And it says print n lines. The eyes line should contain the result of replacing the eyes word from the input data. So if, like, basically it is trying to say just print the answer. So if we compare it, like, for word we have word, and for localization we have L10N. The same thing happens for the last two words because they're too long. Now the first thing that you might have is like just to copy this and like put them here and trying to convert this into like variables, but that's not how it works when it comes to Codeforce, because it's saying this is not the only input that you're going to be given. For example, let me just show you one of test cases. They are called test cases, by the way. And as you can see, first it tested with the actual example. That's going to be the first test case. But on the second test case, it has different test cases. Again different test case. Again different test case. So this means that our code should not only work like only for the given examples. The examples are just there to guide you. It doesn't mean like this is the problem it should solve. So we have to like generalize our code. So what are we going to do? We're going to follow these rules. So what does it say? The first line contains an integer, which means you're given an input. In that case, we're going to say n, because it is n, as you can see, an integer n. And it's going to be integer. So what are we going to say? We're going to take an input from our like terminal. So it's up to Codeforce. They are going to give you. And one thing we should not forget is to convert these to integer, because this is an integer. And then what does it say? The next n line. So we have to like consider those 10 n lines. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to iterate over n, because this is number of test cases I have in single test, and I'll be receiving the first word, and that's going to be an input. So basically this is the first thing that we should do. So now let me show you how Codeforce actually tests your code. So what they're going to do is they're going to test your code. I'm going to be running the problem. So I run the problem, and as you can see, it's expecting an input, right? And you're not responsible for this. Codeforce by itself is going to insert this test case. So first it will say 4, and now we are at this position. Like we've taken the first integer and we're iterating, and it's asking for word, and I would say word 1 again, as you can see, word 2, word 3, and it's not going to stop until this loop is completed. When I say word 4, as you can see, the code is completed. And just to show you what is going on, let me just print out word. Let me run the code again. So you're going to be running your code using terminal rather than like this runnable, because you cannot insert an input if you try that, but you can figure out how to run the problem. So again, I have 4. Let me just insert the first word, and as you can see, it is printing the word that is accepting from me. And word 2, word 3, word 4, right? So this is how like the code is going to be executed. But when we come back to the question doesn't say like print back the word to me. It says if the word is greater than 10, you have to like use this abbreviation to represent. So what we are going to do is we have received the word, and we're going to check the length of the word. So if the length of the word is greater than 10, in that case, what are we going to be printing? We're going to print what? The word, not the word, but the first character of the word. So you know that we can use indexing. and we're going to print something here. I'm not going to talk about that, and we're going to pick the last character as well. So now we have printed the last character and the first character and the last character. Let's see what these do. I'm just going to represent this with an empty string. And else what we're going to do is we're going to just print the word, because if a word is less than or equal to 10, we don't have to do any operation on that word, right? According to the problem. So let me run the solution again, and I'm going to press 4, and I'll just insert the first word. So as you can see, it printed word. And for localization, let's try localization. If this localization, as you can see, it's printed only L and N with what? With the space in between. This is the space we added. So now, like, we partially solved the problem at this point. The only thing that we need to do is just represent this with the length of the character in between. So let's solve that. I'm going to terminate the program. And so how do we get the length of the characters in between, right? So the idea is we have printed the first character and the last character. So if we try to say length of word, that's not going to work, right? Because we've already used two words. But this seems like simple mathematics. Because we have used two characters, we can just say -2. This is going to work. But the problem is, like, you don't concatenate the string with the integers, right? This is basic Python issue. So we're going to convert that to string. So we calculated the length of the characters that are in between, like the longest words, the long words. Then we printed, like, concatenated them with a number. Now let's save and run the problem. The program. As you can see, this is what it looks like. So instead of like copying, like writing one by one, you can just copy everything and just paste it here, and it's going to work. As you can see, these are the answers that are like our program is printing, and these are the inputs we have. So I just copied everything at once instead of writing everything. And the only thing that we need to do is to compare this with the example we have. So let's check them. Word is word. Okay, something is wrong. Okay. Let me fix this thing. Well, as you can see, we have word here and word. So the first output is correct. Then we have L10N. We have L10N. We have L18N, I18N, and the same thing here. For the for text case, it's also the same thing. So now we need to submit this, right? And what we're going to do, we're going to just copy this, and we're going to bring it here to check if our problem is like solved. Because as I try to tell you, like, Codeforces is going to test your code against a lot of test cases. So we're going to just paste the solution here, and don't forget to pick this PyPy 310. You can choose anything, but don't forget to choose Python. So PyPy is also Python, so we're going to choose PyPy 310 and we're going to submit once we make sure everything is as supposed to be. And it's running test 1. If our code is accepted, it's going to say wrong answer. I mean accepted, but if not, it's going to show us wrong answer. And if you have maybe in this case you have seen it, right? So it's accepted. The problem is to way too long words. And if you have a runtime problem, it's going to be problem with your code. So let me just show you that. If we maybe forgot this equal number and try to submit it, let me refresh. As you can see, it's a compilation error, and sometimes it might not be descriptive enough, but you can see you can click on this number over here and you can see what happened with the problem, with the solution. So it says cannot compile because you have this error. So, but first make sure everything is running correctly in Visual Studio, because if you have the same problem here, Visual Studio won't be running the code as well, because it's also going to show you the error. And up until to this point, I hope everything is clear. And so this is the first thing that you have to do. Maybe you guys can put it on our Telegram group if you have done this problem. Do it if you didn't, and I'll see you maybe in the next video. Thank you guys.